So when you know that you're already creating life, all you can do is create it more consciously and not get lost in how other people are trying to tell you that you're not creating life. Because when you get this deep into all the wisdom that I'm sharing you, no one will get you lost. No one can convince you that you are not an artist. No one. Because to bring it to a super grounded level, when we're talking about like this one God and like white supremacy and decolonizing your space, it's about knowing that you are an individual. You are not an extension of some other individual. Because that would mean that you're permanently connected to something else. And that means that you're permanently serving something outside of yourself. You'll never be in heaven when you're connected to something else. You will only ever be in heaven when you know that you're already connected to yourself. That's the wisdom. We know that K is actually in hell. You're killed. You're constantly in hell when you feel like you're connected to something else. When you feel like you need to pray to something outside of yourself, you're in hell. Because now you're just constantly reacting to whatever that thing taught you. And that thing is now just making money while doing what it really wants. So that's like all these people who worship the Catholic Church and believe in everything that the Catholic Church has said about God, when they're just, they've just straight up whitewashed Hermeticism and turned it into garbage, turned it into follow our rules. Everything that we're talking about here, they've taken it and demonized it so that you feel like the right thing to do is to permanently connect to something outside of yourself because you are unworthy of being alone with your own feelings. That's why European American governments don't teach meditation in schools. They don't teach anything about connecting with yourself. They actively work to make sure that they can project technology into your space that doesn't even work for you. Like this technology that I'm using to communicate myself onto the internet is barely functional by my standards. Like people here try to act like it's good, but that's just because their standards are so garbage because they're not a real creator. This is how I know that I'm an individual. All right, this technology is like literally alchemized from indigenous resources, and it's just built to break so that the people can steal more of your time and attention and make you support more of their structure by buying more of their thing, because now you're forced to only use their thing. And that's the whole essence of monopolies. And yeah, man, the tech corporations are truly destroying the planet. And they truly sell destroying the planet as getting people connected, when literally all they're doing is disconnecting you from the planet and from everyone that you naturally wanted to be connected with in life. And now everyone is forced to connect through technology. So what? Now technology just makes endless money, capitalizing and controlling how you connect and communicate with people outside of yourself. And thus the people who made that technology get to build a whole world off of it and do whatever they want to with your energy. What? So this is where you are. All right, you should feel awesome about being in the universe once you have all of this knowledge and this wisdom that I'm sharing with you, all this awareness, knowledge, wisdom, and awareness. Because now it's about knowing that you are inside a physical reality, and the physical reality that you're creating here with hermetic health and everything is your body. Your body is the physical reality that you are creating so that you can transform through a bigger physical reality. Does it make sense for you to control the physical reality outside of yourself? Not really. No. Why? Because that is physical reality being made by spirits outside of you. So this is just natural indigenous wisdom. Like when I'm walking around in a forest, it's like, wow, look at all these spirits creating bodies so that they can communicate themselves into existence. They're so beautiful. They're connecting to the universe, and it looks so pleasing to my eyes. They're so beautiful. Nature's beautiful. Like, that's what it is. That's psychedelic symmetry's perspective on life. Nature is beautiful. Nature is psychedelic because it's individual spaces feeling like getting connected to each other. And then they build really pleasing structures. That's what Lucifer is. That's why Lucifer is beautiful. Light is beautiful. Lucifer is the light bearer. And we use air to bear our light. Your light is your feelings. And then your feelings become matter once you use your mind to put them in a body. And now everything that you use your body to pay attention to matters more and more in your life. And now you're using your matter to make things matter. And now we're building physical reality. Here we are. This is the highest wisdom, my guy, my girl, my fam, my man, my woman, my God, my dog, my spirit, my space. Everyone and no one. This is it. Like, everything from here is details on like magic and infinite ways that you can create. But the whole point of us laying out these first episodes, and really is about to be us going through Dissect the Dialect for this podcast. So these first 26 episodes are all about laying out the consciousness of where you are, why you're alive, how you can connect with yourself, how you can figure out who you are, what you want to bring to the universe, and all the details of you just actually creating your space in the universe. Because that's what it's about. Like, you as a spirit are alone inside of your own space, but if you don't want to be alone, then you have to be the one to create your home that others can connect to. That's what nature is. Like, when I look at nature, all the spirits, infinitely creative. Everyone's an artist. Everyone's making music. That's, again, Lucifer, the water. Life is beautiful. Life is musical. Life is psychedelic. That's why acid is called Lucy. Lucy, literally. Because when you're tripping on acid, when you're on LSD, when you're on Lucy, you can see Lucy. You can see lights. You are now way more receptive to the lights that spirits will use to communicate with your mind versus what you consider physical reality. So on your normal day-to-day basis, that's normal, right? And then that's where we have the term hallucinations. Life is one long hallucination. Everything is a hallucination when you're aware like this. When you know that spirits communicate themselves into existence, yeah, everything's a hallucination. It is just a matter of what you can touch. Clearly, that's what we consider Earth. Not just what we can touch, but what's actually relatable. As in, can we all go to this thing day after day? You're saying this thing happened, but can you replicate it? If you cannot replicate it, then it's not relatable because it's not real. It's not actual R energy. There's no 18 there. We can't realize who we truly are as you put an idea repeatedly into a vibration. Like it was a one-off shot. So if something's real, it's replicable. Right? If you're really a good athlete, then you can show up day after day to do that. If you're really a good artist, you can show up day after day to do that. Like, if I'm actually as passionate about this as I seem to be, then I'm not going to let losing an hour and a half of gold truly bother me. I can't. Like, what did I really lose? You know, like, I don't identify with my external creation. I identify with really the journey and everything that I'm internally building. Because what I'm internally building is unique to me. What I'm internally building is everything that I can be actually grounded upon. And what I'm internally building is everything that allows me to consistently make sense no matter where I am. And that thing is my soul. That thing is my own vibration. That's what we're all internally building with these external buildings that we call bodies, that we call thoughts. All these bodies expire, but all of our bodies are connected by our vibration. All of our bodies are connected by our soul, by our feeling. You can never be disconnected from yourself when you're creating a body to express yourself. That is impossible. The fact that your mind is animating itself through a body means that your soul is literally mattering. Your feelings literally matter. If your feelings didn't matter, you would not have a blood flow, you would not have a heartbeat, and you would not have muscles that can contract and expand based on how you want to communicate and connect. And this is all only possible in physical reality. This is all only possible underwater, underneath the double U. So from here, everything's details, guys. Everything. And it's funny. I don't even like using the word guys. It's kind of default just based on me being raised in America for 24 years. I do prefer family. I'll just come up with different terms. I might create different words. I do like fam. Because the whole point, actually, I love fam. The whole point of 23 being the number 5 is showing us that as spirits, we are all one big family. That's what it means to truly be indigenous. And that's why the indigenous peoples welcomed the carnivorous and cannibalistically violent Judeo-Christian peoples in with open arms. Because they view them as indigenous. And thus, they view them as family. Whereas Europeans, the Judeo-Christian colonizers, the Crusaders, they don't view the indigenous peoples as family. They view them as demons. They view them as demons because they're not accepting the sacrifice of their God. So they're like, these indigenous peoples aren't letting us erase their individuality. What? They're demons. Let's build a system on raping them so that we can worship something that tells us not to rape people and not to kill. So this is why water fasting is essential. Because you're underwater. So if you want to connect with the truest essence of you, then water fasting is about to be the way to go. Because water fasting is about to get you deep into your soul. Water fasting allows you to dive so deep that you didn't even think it was possible to learn so much about yourself. Like, you didn't even know that you had this much depth. I as Chase did not imagine any of this. Like, I was not thinking like this 3 years ago. Like, even, oh my gosh, going into college, like, I can think of my whole life of like being through grade school, going through high school, getting out of high school, going into college, getting out of college. I wasn't thinking like this. I wasn't anywhere close to here. Like, I wasn't so deep in my subconscious that I was able to learn about life and bring way more of my gifts to the world, because I went deeper into my garden. I went deeper into my soul. Because that's what I love. I love making gifts. I love making art. I love bearing fruit from my garden. That's literally what we're talking about here with Hermeticism and Simicism. Everything with the snakes and the trees and the birds and the bees. So we're all family as spirits because we're all indigenous. We're all going in. We're all transforming inwards. We're all going to be forced to connect with ourselves once we're done connecting with others. And the ultimate form of connecting with others is being in a body. So when you're constantly just in a body, connecting with others instead of connecting with yourself, you are the furthest away from your space as possible. And that's truly what it looks like to just be paying attention to being a body and like being aware of everything in this reality and just everything in a simulation in general. So that's why meditation is basically closing your eyes and disconnecting from, separating from everything that you can, and then going pure observer mode. And then the more you go observer mode, the more you start to match the frequency of your spirit. And then that's where life becomes infinitely spiritual, of course, when you realize that it's all one long meditation and you're always nothingness, and it's just a matter of how deeply are you connected to your own center, to your own, literally like being in your space before you start to get into your elements and get into your feelings and get into your thoughts and ideas, and then get into how you want to communicate those, and then get into whatever language you're limited to using based on the body that you're aware of and how you're able to communicate those. You got to peel all that away. So water fasting is the absolute best way to peel away all the garbage in your body that is not working for you. Not just peel away the metaphysical, emotional traumas and boundaries that stop you from being the best you, because fasting does that, absolutely. But literally that manifests on a physical level of you cleaning your body in a way that is never, ever, ever going to be possible with anything that the pharmaceutical industry is using Callaway's Caduceus to sell to you. So before we wrap up, before I ski-daddle on out of here, zip on by, fly away, I'm going to leave you with a tip, a little tip on how you can communicate your desire to connect, and communicate your desire to connect in a way that creates physical reality. So we're about to get into some symmetry magic here, some Trip-C communication tactics, because manifestation is very awesome. Manifestation is how you made this body. Everything is manifested. That's everything that we've talked about here. So now that we have this whole grounded basis, everything else in life is about details, and us literally using our ability to communicate to become more and more intricate and become more and more just like awesome, basically. But it's always going to be built on the basics. You can't build anything complex off of not basics. Like, there has to be basics that everything works off of. So that's why all these religions and stuff, they come to Hermeticism before they start teaching other people to build their own heaven. They're like, how do I build my own heaven, Hermes? And then they get my shit and they're like, cool, I'm gonna make people build my heaven and I'm gonna teach them to hate themselves. And then I have to be like, hey, don't do that. But at the same time, if spirits want to uphold that and everyone's creating that reality for themselves, again, I'm a hero, not a hero. I'm not about to project in there. I'm here to show them who they are. And if that's who they are, then I'm not getting involved. And they can ring my line once they're ready, which is what we're doing right now. Chase Calloway has been called away because Mercury has been rung, and he has been born in a synchronistic time to communicate in a synchronistic way. So when you know that you're creating death, you're creating physical reality by combining your 2 and 3, then that means that anything that you want to feel, because that's what physical is. Physical is about feeling. Your desire to feel something in physical reality is in and of itself a vibration that you can cultivate and carry internally. So this is the wisdom of 23 in this case, and water being an internal element, and you as God creating your mind by connecting with your own you, which is your own universe. So when you as a God create your own universe that allows you to not feel alone, then you can connect with yourself in a way that now you have your own W, your own water. So now it doesn't matter where you are, you're constantly cultivating your own universe inside of you. So now you're naturally like writing your not just your own vibration, but your own universe, if lack of better words, vibration. But as far as alchemizing these numbers in a way that actually creates the physical reality that you want, the wisdom here is knowing that you have to feel how you want before you can actually see it. And that's the whole purpose of feeling fulfilled or feeling whole. You have to feel like you already have everything you want before you're actually going to see it. And that's like the secret stuff, right? I'm just making it make more sense here with numbers. It's about you using your 2, your ability to feel connected, to add on and connect with your 3, which is your mind, your ability to communicate. So whatever you want as a spirit, whatever you want to create in reality, whatever you want to manifest in physical reality, that is purely a representation of you communicating, is it not? That's purely a representation of your mind, is it not? Your chi, is it not? So when we think about chi, we all have chi, but our chi is our ability to communicate. And our ability to communicate is simultaneously individual, yet not. Because if it was too individual, you would not be able to see me. But if it was not individual enough, we would not be able to communicate, and you would not be able to learn anything from me, because I'm not an individual with my own space, literally. And I can't project out ideas as an individual. So that's where we see that air, communication, the mind, is the combination of fire and water. It's the combination of projection and connection. You have to connect with an idea that you projected out of your space before you can communicate it into external reality for all of us to see. So this is the wisdom of creating physical reality with your word. Another W. Word. Words build worlds. Watery words build worlds. That's what this podcast is, after all. I'm using my words to build a world, and by extension, I'm then building the world for the internet. So now the internet is a bigger world because I'm using words to build a world that represents me as an individual. So now you can see my mind, basically. You can see how my thoughts and feelings come together consistently, over and over, to build a structure. And then this is the natural representation of who I am at this current point in time. And then, of course, time is us gauging how water moves. And water is chaotic, constantly moving, but it does move in a cycle, because water is psychedelic, water is musical, water is Lucifer, water can only be communicated through air, feelings can only be seen through air. Your feelings are completely unique to you. So this is why, again, fire and water being internal elements, only you can see your thoughts and only you can see your feelings. So if you want other people to see your feelings, you have to actually use your thoughts to carry them. And that looks like you using your awareness to be Mercury and communicate yourself into existence. And then that's where we get earth, because what do you use to communicate yourself into existence? Earth, the body. That's where air is full of earth particles. So now all these particles are the things that are animated by the atmosphere, which is constantly being created, energetically vibrated by the combination of frequency and vibration. Because it does take space vibrating at a certain frequency to create energy. For these white supremacists to teach us that energy cannot be created or destroyed is just an absolute blasphemic lie. It's horrible, from the pits of hell, truly. Not a fan. And we're forced to regurgitate that to be considered smart slaves, sitting in school to develop scoliosis. So when you want to create physical reality, that means connecting with your own communication. And that looks like cultivating a feeling and dying inside of yourself. So literally, when you know what you want and you know who you are and you know how you want to feel, it is truly the constant exercise and practice. This is what fasting is about. This is why it's water fasting. It's water. It's just about you putting in that constant practice of connecting with your communication. So when your mind is communicating what you want, but you're not seeing it, you as a spirit have to connect with that. Because just because you're communicating what you want does not mean that you're actually connecting with it. Literally. Like, just because you're pushing out this air doesn't mean that you're making sure that there's enough water in the air for it to actually water Earth. Because that's what it's really about. Like, we have to use air to communicate our water. But the wisdom of 23, the wisdom of the W here, is knowing that you have to make sure your air actually has enough water in it to bring life to wherever you're going, wherever you're traveling. So you can't be too dry of air. Like, you can't be just 3. Like, only communicating is straight dry air. And Earth is dry, so cold. The point is, the wisdom of W is that you want to bring the wetness, baby. You want to bring that wetness, baby. You want to make sure that you are bringing your feelings and really expressing your feelings in a way that is actually wet, is actually emotional. Not in a chaotic way, but certainly not in a dry way. Like, if you won't actually bring life to any earth, any realm. So when you want to create physical reality, that's you paying attention to earth outside of you, and you want to create something. That's literally, you look at this 4, right? So everything outside of you, all these 4 boxes, you're like, wow, I really want to create something new here. That's literally you being in your 2 energy, paying attention to the 4. You want to create a new balanced creation, that's 6. So your desire to have 6 looks like whatever your mind is communicating. So if you're too dry or cold in that communication, that's going to result in you not actually bringing anything to the physical reality. You're not going to bring water to the earth that you're paying attention to. If anything, depending on how cold your communication is as a mind, you could very well cut up what was already set up for you. This is where you get windstorms. And just in general, like thinking about like dry wind versus rain. Because it's all water, but it's different levels of water. Rain brings life. Fast, dry winds don't bring life. If anything, they level forests. They like cut down plants. So just communicating like quickly, dryly does not bring it. does not bring the life, does not bring the creation that you want to build. The only way that you can actually manipulate physical reality in the way that you want to manifest the life of your dreams is to, as a spirit, use your two to connect with your own mind's idea, for lack of better word, but really your mind's communication. There we go. That's the word. Your mind's communication of what you want to see. So whatever you're trying to make happen, that's your mind communicating. Like right now, just having a beating heart and being aware of anything and living, there are things that you're trying to make happen in life. So that's already a result of your thoughts and feelings coming together to make your mind, literally. So you have all these different feelings throughout the day, but they are anchored by your thought. So for example, your job. You may feel a lot of different things about your job, but you are anchored to your job. The cycle of how you wake up every day is anchored to the thought that you're holding up, the idea that you are nourishing and connecting to. So there's a big difference between 3 and 23 in creating 5, because 3 as air will cut through 5. If you're just communicating with your air, you will cut through physical reality, and that's what family is. So this is where you don't want to use your ability to communicate to cut through families, to cut through other spirits that have chosen to group up because you desire to see something else. That's basically what it looks like whenever you're just straight up, as a mind, communicating what you want, basically. Like just communicating out. Because that's the air. That's a... Versus if you connect with your own air before you communicate. So before communicating your air outwards, because air is balance. All right, that's where air doesn't have to go outward at all in any way, shape, or form. Air can like be all about going inward, and that's some wild air, because space is wild. I mean, at some point you're going to want to go outward. But air is just about travel in general. Air is about the mind communicating. So instead of just communicating outward, you connecting with that communication, that 23 is what literally creates 5. So now you have your internal world. That's your internal physical reality, your internal phi. So because your internal physical reality is now being cultivated by your ability to connect with your communication, now the universe is going to start reflecting that, because you're literally building it in your universe. So this is Hermeticism right here, practical manifestation in terms of figuring out, where are you? The universe. You are building a simulation in the universe, and this is how, with the number 23. You as a spirit are the one building the simulation. You are the one building the body inside of a bigger body so that you can build a different kind of body that we call a business, a corporation, or a home, or a family, whatever. But either way, it's all only going to be possible because of communication and connections, which is the wisdom of 23. So when you connect with your own communication, you create your own physical reality. You create your own family. You now have your own internal family. That's my Mercury family. Like I literally have built that family with my bare hands. All based on how I connected with myself. And then all these spirits who did not do that on their own connect with me, and then they learn how to do it, and then we all do it together, and then everything's lit. And now we're all leveling up. So it takes one. It does take one individual spirit to connect on it with itself, to then be able to create the idea that is able to be seen by other spirits. And then this is where, if other spirits don't connect with that idea, it's not going to get brought to life. So, yeah. use this practical alchemy, this very real magic, this numerical equation to the universe, all transcribed through the English language by your boy, Tahuti Hermes Trismegistus, aka Symmetry, your trippy, Tripsy, Chase Clarence Calloway. Connect with your communication, build your own physical reality, transform inside of yourself. That is going to be the world that the universe supports. The universe itself is supporting the world that you're building internally. That's why people who want to teach you how to build their world are so adamant about making sure that you are as disconnected from yourself as possible. Because why would you build someone else's world when you can literally build your own? Especially with your own words. Much love. Mwah.